Hey, I'm Connor McIver. This is my channel. I do appreciate you watching. This video is going to talk to real estate buyers specifically and some seller tips, but really two things that you need to be watching out for as a home buyer in this current market. We're about to close out September 2024. There have been a lot of changes in real estate, and with the changes, there's an adjustment period. So some of the people that you're going to be dealing with in the real estate industry have not yet adjusted to these changes that are within the market. So this is what I suggest. So tip number one, when you're in the process of buying a house, when you're communicating with anybody, even your real estate agent, and you're doing it telephonically or maybe in text message, I would also suggest following up every conversation with an email just to make sure you understood perfectly what they were saying, especially if what they're saying kind of makes the hair, if I had it, on the back of your neck or my neck stand up, then maybe that email would be completely appropriate. In addition, in the email, I would also suggest you basically recap the conversation just to make sure you understood correctly what this thing is they were talking about, and then wait for a response. You're going to find out 9 times out of 10 that when it comes to your response, the response to your inquiry about whether or not what they said was really what they said, you wanted to make sure you heard correctly, that response is going to be somewhat vague and ambiguous in the gray world where it's really not committal to it, but it's really not excluding it either. So there's that. Just be careful with that. Tip number two for real estate buyers currently: when you get ready to go look for real estate, make sure that your agent is giving you some kind of a value. What do they have to offer you? And of course, besides they're going to be obtaining a paycheck from you, maybe that's good enough. But other than that, what have they done in their real estate career? How do they speak? How approachable are they? Do they understand your needs? Are they listening more than running their mouth? What do they appear to be? And then follow that up with some online checking. Hey, who's this Connor with Honor guy? What's going on with him? What about him? And then kind of follow up. Now, with all the misinformation out there, real estate reviews, while at one point they seem to be great, I've seen some pretty awful stuff going on in that world. At the end of the day, it's going to come down to you and what you think about the person that you're potentially going to hire. So, for that final tip for the real estate buyers out there, the first good step besides the lender, and I think the agent should come first. A lot of the systems out there are going to tell you to contact a lender first. My suggestion: contact an agent, because if your ultimate goal is to purchase real estate in some form, a condominium, townhome, single family residence, that agent's going to be your best first step, because they're going to know the inventory, and believe it or not, they've been in the business long enough, I'd imagine, that you give them your income and maybe what your debts are. They'll kind of have an idea. But that first introduction, whether it's a lender you know or a lender that they know, that first introduction and putting them in part of that process kind of puts a lot of parties on notice. For example, there's somebody else to watch. So if the lender's sending back BS information, and even the agent, if the agent's sending you BS information, there's another party to vet it. And in most cases, folks, people aren't going to hinge their real estate license or lending license on hoping that somebody's not going to turn state's evidence against them if they're misquoting, doctrine, whatever it may be, what they're telling you. You just need to make sure. There's a lot of fake stuff out there. I'm sure that pretty soon, not that I'm that important. Yeah, probably not. Anyway, that's not going to happen with me. But you're going to see a lot of people that are famous in the world. You're going to see them being rendered on video, and they're going to be telling you certain things about maybe presidential candidates or elections and these sorts. Just be wary. Understand, and I hear it, I see it all the time on social media. There's this karate guy now going around, and he's taking nunchucks, or he's saying that you can't, you never want, you can actually catch a bullet, but you never want to do it standing directly in front. You got to tap and then turn around and send it back, sort of a thing. It's a spoof. It's funny, but the comments are, oh my gosh, you can't do that. There's no way you can stop a bullet by tapping it on the side as it's coming by you, slowing it down, and thereby grabbing it. Of course not. But I guess the bar in some circumstances is very low, And I'm sure that we don't want our children going out there and attempting to do that either. So that's really bad advice, I suppose. But in my adult mind, with adults, I still think that's somewhat humorous that somebody would take that seriously. That would be in my age category or maybe older. I hope everybody's well. Thank you so much for watching. That's a little bit of an aside. A couple buyer tips on the seller end of it. When you're getting those offers, it's going to come back to where the buyer is. They're pre-qualified. See what kind of approval that is. If it's just a garden variety, run-of-the-mill, typical real estate lender approval. But if it's an underwriter approval, ask your agent if they'd followed up and called the lender and gotten more information as to what that approval actually entailed. If they ran that buyer all the way through the system and they have a complete approval at this point, barring address, and of course things can happen in that regard too, but that's pretty solid. If you just have another buyer, I would ask them, if there's multiple buyers, definitely ask those other buyers to come forward with their best approval letter. Usually your agent's going to be following up with them, but there are different types of approval letters that come through with home buyers, as you sellers out there will soon find out, because real estate isn't taking very long to get into escrow. And usually in Santa Clarita Valley, we're experiencing multiple offers on each of the homes that comes up for sale, depending. We're not actually matching up with that nationwide, and you'll see it in the news, real estate slowdown, because our inventory is really very limited right now, with just over 520 some odd listings on the market for sale as of this morning. I think it's 528. That's going to include all the Santa Clarita Valley cities. These listings are being picked up 7 to 10 to 15 days. That's when they're going from being active, advertised for sale, to having a contract written on them and accepted. In a lot of those cases, the contracts are multiple in nature, so it's not just one set of buyers or one buyer that wants to buy it. Multiple buyers want to buy it. So then those sellers are coming back in counteroffer form in an attempt to get more and make their offer even better, the best possible. I hope everybody's well. Thank you for watching, and we will talk to you soon. I am Connor with Honor. Over and out.